fire's died down and the guests are full, the only thing left to do is enjoy the company. Best done with a fresh cigar and a cold drink. This is After the Cook.
You know what? Weather in Florida is pretty nice, isn't it?
Awesome, man.
Loving it.
It's
Loving
great.
it. Welcome to Gulfport, Florida.
And to put it in contrast to what you were telling us yesterday, you just hit the coldest on record ever temperatures ever
Correct.
recorded. Now, does that include America temperatures?
Yes, that includes all
That's
of the temperatures
world.
in the
It's
planet.
not just the small, diminutive Celsius temperatures of Canada.
The coldest place on the planet last week was Edmonton, Alberta,
Okay.
at minus 38 Celsius.
What is that for us Americans, which is probably most of our audience?
Minus 32.8 Fahrenheit.
Right. Oh, minus 32 Fahrenheit. You already knew that.
I did, because I looked it up for your wife when I was coming back from the airport.
And what was it, Celsius?
Minus 36.
Oh, so when it gets negative, it gets
still doesn't make
closer.
sense. It still doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't.
Much like your time zones, I also don't understand your temperature, whatever.
Yeah, it's purely an American experience, like losing early in the World Cup.
There you
Or
go.
not even qualifying. It's uniquely American.
There again, the first goal that Canada has scored in the World Cup.
Canada as a team in the World
Yes,
Cup?
they do. And the first goal that was scored in the World Cup,
Yeah.
that gentleman is from Edmonton, Alberta. So there you go.
Ever in a World Cup ever?
Ever in a World Cup
or
ever.
this past World Cup?
This was the first one we scored
Wow.
as Canada in the World Cup, come from Edmonton, Alberta. So now
Is
you
he
know.
alive? Is his foot somewhere in a
When we get a hold of him,
Do
yeah.
you call it Alberta, Edmonton? How do we map it to like cities and states in the United
Canada,
States? Okay, Canada.
and then the center of Canada is Alberta,
Okay,
and the capital of Alberta is Edmonton.
okay? So Alberta would be the equivalent of a state, yes?
Alberta is as big as Texas, 96% as big as Texas.
Right, but Texas is a state.
Yes, but Texas is also the center of America.
It is.
It is.
And
They
it
have their own
has-
flag.
They do.
And remember the Alamo.
Well, and all my exes live in Texas.
Exactly. See, there you go. I love it. I love it. No, I just actually came back from Texas there.
I
so
know. You want to tell us a little about your live fire event?
I did a live fire event with Al Fragoni, right? Did picanha. We did all kinds of crazy stuff. It was one of his first set up to do like a catering, bring people in. There was a lot of foodies from San Antonio and Austin came down, and then writers and stuff like that. It was a really cool event, very laid back and random.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it was very nice, but I was tired.
Were the two of you the only pit masters working the event, or did you have other influencers and or local cooks working with
No,
you?
it's just him, and I came to give him a hand.
Okay.
And then he had his crew of guys that are taking care of, the catering aspect
Right.
of things and stuff.
I
But,
really love seeing all of his success.
yeah, he's doing some pretty wild stuff out there.
I met him last year when I did the Ace Orlando event with Big Green Egg,
Yep.
and he was working the Fogo tent,
Yep.
and I did not know him personally at that time. And so I went over to say hello to Captain Ron, because I know Captain Ron very well, and he was at the Fogo tent, and Al was there. He was like, hey. And I just didn't know because I was in between, and then he gave me his awesome chimichurri.
Yep.
And I knew immediately who he was.
There you go. Yeah, no, he's a neat dude. So it was nice. Texas was nice. But I'm happy to be here in Florida, let me tell you.
It's pretty nice.
It's gorgeous here. Absolutely gorgeous. So as soon as his wife, Miss Debbie, picked me up from the airport, took me down to Gulfport,
Yeah.
where my man was playing in a band, right? Right on
Yeah.
the strip, right on the ocean.
Right.
And that's how you roll into Florida, just like that.
It was a pretty good weekend for me in that aspect of my life. Playing music. I played a gig in Clearwater Beach, Florida. It's about 40 minutes north of here on the ocean.
Yep.
Beautiful beach bar. Great gig.
Yep.
Had a day off doing the Santa Rampage where we dressed as Santa and rampaged downtown. And then played yesterday in Gulfport. So, yeah. Might try to integrate the two. Bring like my little mini Max and have a guitar. And I probably will not do that.
Well, but if you did, it'd be pretty cool. Throw another shrimp on the barbie. So I saw something and I recognized something because Jordan, our producer, actually came down for this to cut this. So this is very cool. He's in person here in Florida as well as us. So, there he is right there. There he is. So I noticed something watching you plugging away, slapping the bass, right? Slapping the bass. Mm-hmm. The bass is a soundtrack for an 8-bit video game.
Definitely.
That is the coolest thing. Yeah, like it doesn't get any crazier than that. It's gonna go boom, 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 like it's, and then you got the lead guy that's right, whatever. But then you got that, and it's just a steady drumming along. I loved it, man. I thought it was really cool.
I've always gravitated towards the bass. Well, I was going to tell some heady story to make me look cool. The real reason I gravitated towards playing the bass is when I was a young child. I was very much into that band Kiss, in the heyday of Kiss.
Yes.
And I was a huge, as all the children from our era, our generation, I think that's the word, were into Kiss at that time. And I was into Gene Simmons, and I wanted to end, but I did. I actually followed through and learned how to play the bass. Now, as a bass player, I have come to appreciate that playing the bass is often overlooked, like a great offensive lineman, or I don't know the equivalent analogy in hockey.
Yes.
A defensive man, maybe. Who's like, this story's going nowhere.
No,
it will not make Instagram.
That's
I lost you all when, I began this thing. But yes, I enjoy playing bass, and it is the unsung hero. If you watch people dancing at a club or watching a band, their neck is booming to the bass.
It's always to the bass. All right.
Well, Mel, I'm really happy that you're here in Florida.
Thank you.
And that we have this incredible special guest joining us tonight.
I cannot wait to meet him.
Somebody near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
He works with Snake River Farms, the premier American Waygu beef company in the world. His name is Dave Yasuda. Dave, welcome to After the Cook.
Thank you,
Dave.
Chris, Mel.
Dave Yasuda.
Thanks for inviting me on.
Thank you very much for being here. I've actually met Dave one time.
Yeah.
A long time ago. What was that, 2018 Eggtoberfest? So
yeah, the Egg Fest.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. He gave me a hat.
He did.
It was a nice hat. I still have it.
Now, how long in the conversation, Dave, did it take him to hit you up to send him some meat? Was it like...
I think that was the opener, wasn't it, Mel?
That was the opener, yeah. We don't have any of that stuff up there. This is
It's good to know.
Yeah, you can't help it.
I would love to send you some, but we can't get it to Canada. I mean, we ship it up there. I mean,
for special events,
you can buy it and distribute.
Yeah,
but no, it has to be inspected by a veterinarian or something. The Canadians are not messing around.
And we are so difficult with everything you can think of. It's just.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Though you built Jordan up that he was going to have a hard time getting out of the country, and he just breezed right through customs.
Well, that's because I told him the secret. When you see the American customs officer, mention barbecue.
Okay.
And then they just let you in. I don't know what it is. They just start talking about meat, and they let you in. That's it. Yeah.
So, Dave, what was your path to Snake River Farms? You have a really unique job in the world of marketing. And I'm curious as to how you went from your marketing background into working with Agri beef and ultimately Snake River Farms.
Well, try to make that quick. So my background's always been in food. My first job in college, out of college, was with Procter & Gamble. So I worked with their food service and lodging division up in Bellevue, Washington. And that was kind of a lucky deal. Because normally a P&G job, you're, stocking grocery shelves, but I was calling on operators, selling them things like, edible shortening like Prep and Whirl and Frymax. If you guys need to know anything about deep fryers, I'm your guy. And then from there, I went to work back here in Boise at a company called Simplot, JR Simplot Company. They're an ag business, and they are big producers of French fries. So I worked for them. I was like... that was one of the few jobs I had where I actually had a true mentor. If Phil Quinney's listening, Phil, thank you. He's one of those guys that, really did the mentor thing, helped me kind of learn the ropes. And so I was always interested in advertising. And then one day I went home, I got a call from an ad agency in San Francisco called Anderson Rothstein. And they worked with food service companies, and I took a job. So I moved from Boise to San Francisco. I will mention one other job. I did go to work. I used to work for Chef America, the makers of Hot Pockets.
Oh.
So
Do
just
you
kind of
get
give you,
to
I've
go
had a
see
lot of
Jim
range.
Gaffigan for free, like forever now?
You know, they were a privately held company when I worked there, and they got acquired by Nestle. So I think, I don't know anyone at Nestle. I have some of their candy bars sometimes.
No,
that's
but you
about
know
it,
the
man.
famous Jim Gaffigan Hot Pocket
Oh,
show.
of course.
Yeah.
Everyone
I
always
figured
brings that
if you
up.
worked with the company that produced Hot Pockets, there was a symbiotic relationship between you and...
Fair assumption. So I worked in food service, and then I was working in ad agencies, and I was kind of at that forefront of the whole internet thing, new media, new technology. So I worked at companies that did CD-ROMs, which went away quickly, and then it all went to the internet.
Right.
And so I worked on ad agencies with food companies. So I did a lot of different things. Then kind of through that, I had a good friend in high school. Her name's Chris Crookham, who is really a independent sort, and she started making films, and I was doing some consulting for different different food companies. She said, "You guys need a video," so Chris helped me make industrial videos for J.R. Simplot, for the U.S. Potato Board. I did a ton of things like that, which then led me to actually, and I know Chris, you talked about this, doing a couple independent films of my own. So
Right,
well,
that
with
was
other
actually
people.
the logical question. So the working with the video and the production for the advertising in the food industry got you interested in that as a vehicle in general?
Yes. But, you know, when it comes, no filmmaker is an island. You know, it's a major collaborative thing. And so it was a cool thing. I still know a lot of people kind of in the industry. The one film that I think you can still find every now and then is called Tattoo a Love Story. It's kind of a homage to Boise. It's a cool film. I don't mind people seeing that. And the other one was a small independent film called The Five that a friend of mine, Jason, wrote the screenplay for, and I directed and produced that. It's not particularly good. Don't recommend it. But it was a great opportunity.
What's the biggest challenge as a director?
You know, I think the biggest challenge of a director is really conveying your vision to your team. The one thing that's cool about a film set, it's kind of like the military. Everyone has a job and you have a specific function.
Right.
You know, like you get into companies and sometimes it's a little gray. On a film set, you have a job and this is what it is. And everyone knows what it is. So I think that specific, you know, dispersion of duties is awesome. I think that's a good thing any business can learn, you know. Make sure people know what their job is and then they can go do it.
Right. Put them in a position to succeed and then let them succeed. Don't micromanage them. Know your job.
Well, you sound like a manager.
Well, yeah, I had a day back then. Yeah. But now I'm, this illustrious podcast host. So
Still trying to answer your question, how do I get to Snake River Farms?
Yeah.
And so one thing that happened kind of through all those things, I started just working on my own. I was a contractor. And I was there when social media took off. So I worked with a good friend of mine, JP Clement, started a new media or a social media ad agency kind of before that was a thing. We had clients like Kia, and I was the voice of Cindy Crawford for about a year.
Okay.
Kind of helped put those things together. And anyway,
I mean,
my wife is like,
you wrote dialogue for her. You didn't do voiceovers in Hollywood for.
Oh no, he did voiceovers.
I did like her Twitter account and her Facebook account.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
me and Cindy did not hang. That came through her people.
Right.
So, you know, I just would post about different things. And anyway,
Yeah.
it was entertaining.
Did she have a mole in her organization?
Mole.
Oh, we're getting funny here.
This is where Jordan should bring up a picture of Cindy Crawford, because
Mole,
for those
mole,
that don't know
yes,
the reference she had,
has
she
a
was famous
mole.
for having a mole on her
Yes,
face. So.
yes, yeah.
All right, that's enough of my dad jokes. I'm
All
sorry.
right, with the mole jokes. That's it.
That was the beginning and the end of my comedy
There
career
you
on
go.
this.
There it is.
But my wife was like, "You're always working, and you know, if you are self-employed, you are always working. You're on vacation, you have your laptop, you're doing everything." And she said, "I think you should get a job." And so a friend told me about an opening at Agri, and I interviewed. And honestly, I wasn't super enthused because I didn't know that much about the company.
Right.
And then when I met the people and I started, seeing the products, like, man, I really want to work there.
Yeah.
And then fortunately, I got hired. So.
Robert and the whole family is just amazing, and they just host this event every year for all the influencers, and it's gotten bigger and bigger every year, and you've never felt more of a family than when Snake River Farms puts on that event. So.
That is awesome. Yeah, no, I've seen some of them. Looks amazing.
So I have to go back, Dave, and forgive me for going back, but you said
No worries.
Katie, your wife, said you
That's
needed
right.
to
A
get a
personal
job.
friend of yours.
So I just find it interesting because she's a musician, and a musician who are notoriously in need of a job.
Yes.
Would give the advice of, "Hey, Dave, you need to go get a job."
I don't know that it came out exactly like that, but that was kind of the way I took it.
Yeah. You want to plug Katie in any of her? I know she's playing in a all original band in Boise, and excited about it.
Her band is the Dirt Fishermen, and they were, she started when she was in her 20s, and it's the same band. They're actually starting to write new stuff, and so we have a big music festival here in Boise in its 11th year called the Tree Fort Music Festival.
Right.
So she'll be playing Tree Fort this year, and it's a really wonderful collection of both local bands and national, international bands, and you should come out.
Great.
I actually do the food fort part of that. So there's various forts. There's a story fort that's around literature, film fort, hack fort that's around technology, yoga fort, and I do food fort.
Oh, wow.
So I volunteer for that.
Do you actually do the food, or do you do what you do, or one of the things that you do very well, which is assemble these amazing chefs and creative people to put on the experience?
I do that part. So what happens is because of my job through Snake River Farms, I know or have contact with a lot of different chefs, and so it was kind of a natural fit that I could bring them into town. So
it's awesome.
I think I've interrupted you like 7,700
Oh, it's okay.
times. So
Oh, it's all right.
Did you have a question for Dave?
I have tons of questions for Dave. I can't wait to rip into this. This is so. Have they ever had you out there in a cowboy hat and boots and running around the farm, or?
I have run around the farm, but when Chris can attest to this, we have authentic cowboys. It always makes me laugh when I see these marketing things about this beef company. Look, we got guys that look like cowboys. Yeah. We have cowboys.
Nice.
Like the IT guys. There's
They're
people who have
cowboys.
small ranches.
Yep.
But to answer your question, no. In fact, it's funny. A guy who was hired a little bit before me, he said, "Hey, man, do you own a cowboy hat or boots?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." He goes, "Well, don't get any." I said, "Really? Why?" Because I had thought about it, right? He said, I went out and got a hat and boots. And I went to one of those things, he said, and I got so much crap for that I thought, sound advice.
Yep.
So,
that's
no,
good
I did
advice.
not. I do not.
There's nothing worse than feeling that peer pressure and then going out and getting
100%.
the hat boots, because I'm sure there's a starter like boots and a hat or the fur, and to not know
The
that and to buy
cowboy
them
hat.
right. Yeah, you haven't earned your way into the full Stetson. I don't know about hats. I just know one word.
No, I'm from Alberta, so I know.
Oh, you know that.
Know all about the boots and the
yeah.
hat. You know what it is, but
Gotcha.
I still look better in my skate shoes.
Well, then I need to know. I mean, how true to life is this Yellowstone show? That's the big thing right now.
So if you were watching Yellowstone, you'd notice that every time they go north of their ranch, the next stop is Calgary, which is 2 hours south of me. Oh. So it's quite literally on the border of Alberta. So it's kind of neat. They talk about the Milk River Basin, which is our closest south river. It's kind of neat.
I just mentioned Yellowstone to help seed this in Google and all the podcasts. That's
right. Yes, exactly.
We could list this podcast episode is about Yellowstone, and somebody somewhere will.
That's it. Yeah. No, I just had to ask because I know with Snake River and all, I've seen the pictures of the actual ranch and stuff like that, and it's neat to know that like you haven't had to put the garb on and do the whole thing like most companies do, right? So that's good. That's good.
Be a great initiation, though.
It would be
if like all new employees they may do that, and then it was So, did you have other questions, Mel? I feel again.
I have so many questions for
the first one. Now the only thing I can do is picture Dave in hat and boots.
That's so. What is your favorite barbecue event, Dave? If you had to pick one that you guys are in.
Here's the deal. I'm going to tell you because the barbecue person would get after me. We have things kind of split up. I'm more on the culinary side, and she's more on the barbecue side.
That's Annalise, right?
I actually met Chris at Memphis in May, which is a non-beef event, but we did have some beef there. We also had some Gus's fried chicken, so we got that going for us.
I shocked Dave, and it was really Bob Atkinson's fault. So Snake River Farms was sponsoring Barbecue Alley, which you worked with me this past year.
That's right.
And Dave supplied all the beef. Well, they had just released, Big Green Egg had just released the wok. So Bob wanted me to do like beef stir fry. And Dave was like, no, I'm not going to give them all this premium New York strip for him to put in a stir fry.
Yeah.
So,
Come on, Mel. You can back me up here, right?
Yeah, no, I get that.
I mean, I was like, I'm just doing what I'm told, sir.
Yep.
But it was an amazing event. And my wife was actually doing lead.
Yep.
She met Dave, actually, before I met Dave, and she came back and said, hey, there's this guy, Dave, I think he's with Snake River Farms, and he really likes bourbon. You should go talk to him about bourbon. The rest is history.
There you go. Yep. Well,
There you go.
Debbie knows a fair bit about bourbon. That's true.
She does.
Yep.
What's your latest
Acquisition.
bourbon acquisition? What are you most happy to try or proud of acquiring?
It's one of the perks of this job is that I meet a lot of cool people. And so we sponsored a bourbon event here in Boise called the Boise Bourbon Bash that was shockingly great. My expectations were low, but they did it up right. But I met one of the kind of the brand guys from Heaven Hill.
Right.
And so we have done some events with them. And anyway, this summer I was in Louisville. I was in Louisville for a koi show, believe it or not, because my wife is a national koi judge.
Koi as in the fish? Koi fish.
Yeah.
Huh. And they had a national koi show in Louisville?
That's a strange.
Louisville, it's one of the big shows. It's a regional show.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Wow.
But they kind of have them all over the country. But I was more interested in bourbon than fish. And so I called some of the folks that I knew at Heaven Hill, and they hooked me up, and I got to get the personalized tour. And where this is going is, Chris, you might know this, in Louisville, there's a green label Heaven Hill.
Yep.
It's a kind of a nondescript, but it's Heaven Hill's gift to the locals.
Right.
And I don't think it costs more than like $10-15.
Yeah.
And I think there's no age statement on it, but it varies. It's age 4 to 6 years. Anyway, it's an amazing bourbon.
Yeah.
And I got my hands on one of those, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. Was that your first trip to Louisville? And great pronunciation.
Yeah, I was going to
to
say, he pronounces it exactly right.
But Dave's a writer.
Well,
he's
yeah.
a man of words.
I've been practicing.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Louisville, my wife taught me, is you say it like you've had several bourbons.
That's right. Bourbons. That's right. Louisville.
That was my second trip.
Okay.
Nice.
My first trip, I've been serious about bourbon for maybe 15 years. So I kind of beat the rush, but I was not like, at the forefront or the cutting edge like you, Chris. But are we doing is that the backhoe? What's happening?
We are outside in the Barbecue Buddha compound, and because we're outside, a helicopter
That's the ghetto
just flew
bird.
by.
The ghetto bird.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
So it's an unusual event, so it means somebody must have carjacked someone downtown or something for a helicopter. So,
Nice.
Yeah. I got a question. Since we're on liquor, I got a question for Dave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave, what's your favorite White Claw?
This is Jordan.
You know,
are you going to
it's
put
funny.
up the tweet?
Did you see my tweet?
We were doing research
Dave-
on you, and Jordan was like, "Oh, I found solid gold. I found solid gold. Mel is going to love this one."
I love it.
I did get some nice responses. I don't know if I can drop F-bombs on your show.
Oh yes, we're an adult-only show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but you may because.
Well, he's going to put it up anyway, but
Oh, there it is.
there it is right there. I know it's an age thing, but every time I see a man drinking a White Claw, I think, what the fuck is wrong with you? You can't get more literary than that. Hey,
Yeah.
that's
I think I see a new T-shirt opportunity here. That is black
exactly.
T-shirt, white lettering, typewriter font.
I have to say, in my own defense, Dave, I get a lot of flack about this, especially Memphis and May, the American Royal. You know what I mean? There's a lot of gruff individuals that are like, how can you drink those? How can you drink those White Claws? But then they're all passing out at the end of the night, and I'm still rolling. So there's that, right?
I've heard that from a few guys. That's what they've told me. So it's like,
Yeah.
I guess I just give me the bourbon neat, and I'll be one of those guys passed out.
Well,
How about
that's
that?
But Dave
that's a fair.
says that, but he's like the one shutting the bars down. There's events I go to like that, and the sponsor does the obligatory first round or something. I'm chasing Dave at 3 a.m. in downtown Boise, trying to keep up.
I love that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I got lost. My watch stopped. I thought it was 11 o'clock.
No, that's
So
good.
I think I know this, but Boise's always been your home? Did you go to college in that area, in high school and stuff?
I grew up in a small farming town about 30 miles west of here called Caldwell. Go Cougars. And went to school in-state, University of Idaho up north. And like I had mentioned before, my first job out of college was in Bellevue, Washington, so near Seattle.
Yep.
Came back, and then I was gone for quite a few years. I lived in San Francisco and L.A. for 10-ish years.
Great towns.
And then I came back here.
Yeah. Dave he's like a true Boisean.
Okay,
Is
yep.
that the Boisean? Did I?
I'll go with Boise.
All right. He's an avid outdoors person. And so I did the wrong thing. I signed up for the Dave biking thing, thinking,
No.
they're the sponsor, we're the guest. He's not going to take us on a real bike ride. It's going to be like hey, we'll go on a single track ride. Yeah. No, it was like and I was grossly out of shape at this point to go visit and had to bow out.
Yeah.
Shem went and fell.
Yeah.
And it was pretty serious. That those grown men looked like they were crying when they came back from that bike ride. So,
those were tears of joy.
are you more of a road cyclist or a mountain biker? Or do you pay equal amounts to both sides?
I kind of do both, but I'm probably more of a mountain biker.
Yeah,
Okay. Nice.
We have mountains around here.
yeah, that's a good thing. And I saw you just started posting about skiing. Are you a skier or a snowboarder?
I'm a skier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried. I don't know. Snowboarding looked so magical. I think it was a powder day. I remember seeing this guy rising up over there. I thought, I got to do that. I did it for about 2 years, and I got semi-okay. And I thought, heck with this. I'm going back to skiing. So,
Yeah. Do you do all the fancy tricks and jumps and stuff?
no.
Moguls and trees and stuff?
Yeah, I got moguls, but no fancy tricks. I grew up I was skiing in the 70s in the heyday of the freestyle movement.
Right.
So I had buddies who could pop a, backflip on a mogul. That was not me.
Right.
I could ski through them. I couldn't, I lost a tooth, trying to do a jump, do tricks. So I learned at an early age, maybe that wasn't for me.
Okay. That's fair enough.
So you've been to pretty much all of the major events for our industry, right? Who is the most influential person you've met in the barbecue world, in your opinion?
Well, that's an interesting question, because if you ask, the average Joe or, a casual barbecue, competition barbecue person, they can't name that many people. I mean, they rarely can even name like the most recent grand champions and so they kind of tend to go like Tuffy Stone, Myron Mixon, and, kind of not a competitive guy, but like, Aaron Franklin. And because of that, in terms of, I guess, Mel, it's like influential where? I mean, within the world of barbecue, not saying those three gentlemen aren't influential, but I think they, like a hardcore barbecue dude, is going to have a different name. I think that for me, because the content I produce, like Tuffy in particular, he's such a joy to work with. And in fact, he's coming to Treefort this year, Food Fort, mark that down.
That's pretty cool.
I think that, like, I have a very small Instagram following, but if I post anything about, and, we work with different people, I think people get more enthused about Aaron Franklin than anyone else. Yeah. And it's interesting because he's not a competitive guy, but he's a character, and he is full of knowledge. I think that's the thing about barbecue in general. I mean, you don't have a lot of, unintelligent people, because it's like, yeah, it's, to coin a phrase from my friend Chris, barbecue by feel, which I believe in, to really get that work done, I mean, you have to have a plan. You just don't show up and magically produce, a perfect brisket.
Yep.
Right.
So I think that's the one thing that people don't realize about competitive barbecue. It's just like, there's so much knowledge that's required to do it right. And then you do have to have that ability, it's experience, it's understanding that, how many times do you get this question? What temperature should I pull my brisket?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like, well, how many briskets have you cooked?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And this one answer won't help you with the next
Exactly.
one. But how do you answer that? Right. So
I went to Texas A&M's Camp Brisket.
Oh, you've
January.
been to that? That's
Nice.
right. I think you went last
have,
year,
yeah.
right? Oh.
Yep.
I did, yeah. And I probably shouldn't say this because people are going to get pissed off, but we were a sponsor, and, I would love to go. If anyone asked me, I would go. And I think it was like January 6th, and someone said, hey, there's an opening at Camp Brisket. Anyone want to go? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to go.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the type of people that are there, I mean, first of all, some of those folks have been waiting 5 years to get there.
Yeah.
And some jerk like me just shows up, just because
Right.
we're a sponsor. But the range of expertise was really broad. And there was this, one of the really cool things, there was this family and their father had always made brisket for Christmas. And, he did it. And not that everyone was uninterested, but, it was kind of more of a solo effort. And he unfortunately passed away in an untimely manner or time. And so they were there to figure out how to cook brisket like the old man did. And I thought that was really cool. But there's a guy in the front rows writing down everything. Like, okay, to do a brisket, I trim it like this. I do it like this. Right. And he was like, okay, so when do I pull? What temperature? How long does that brisket go in there? It's like, you are not listening at all, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get whenever Debbie, Mrs. Buddha, comes to a class that I teach, and you get this, you try to teach and give people confidence that it's look and feel, and these are the cues and everything. And I try to teach that way, but you have that person in the back of the class or the front, right? But what did you say exactly? What do you do here? What do you do there? And she's always like, you need to tell them what to do. And I'm like, I kind of am. I'm trying.
Yep.
I'm trying, and it's not obviously succeeding, so I'll try better the next time.
That's it. That's exactly
Well,
it.
there's no substitute for experience or, for giving it a try.
So I get how you got where you were to Snakewood Farms and the aspect that you work on. You went e-commerce and sort of influencer world, and now you're solely, what did your role evolve to that Mackenzie sort of does the social media people now? What now is your focus?
A lot of what I do now is everything I do is around content. So although I work indirectly with influencers like you, Chris, more of it's directed for specific articles or blog posts, things like that on the site.
Well, I got really tickled. I saw you on TikTok because you got a videographer, I think, now at the headquarters.
Yeah, we do.
Mandy Tanner's on there, and but I saw Dave doing a TikTok last week, and I was all starstruck. I was like, I know that guy. It was a very good job. That was an excellent job that you guys are doing. So
Nice.
Well, the funny thing about that, the one that I was in, I've been in like a handful of them, but it was just like they said, hey, tell people what the temperature is they should do their steaks.
Right.
I did it. At the end, I'm like, hey, it's well done. I threw it in the garbage can. Well, that's got the most traffic of all the TikToks we've had, so who knows?
Yeah.
TikTok has taught us one thing. If you stack cheese really quickly on top of each other, about 1,000 pieces of cheese, you'll be huge. There'll be nobody stopping you. So
That's it. That's exactly it.
Excellent.
Yeah. With all of your knowledge of how this meat gets cooked, you're obviously a meat professional. You guys bring amazing product out there. What is your favorite cooker to cook it on?
that's a good question.
So, well, that's a good one.
I'd be interested.
Well, there's a event up in Portland called Feast Portland. And Bob
Trigger
Atkins
green
was
egg.
Now,
big green tray.
If you come to my house, I've got everything. I've got pellet grills. I got charcoal grills. I've got what's it called? The beefer. Have you seen the infrared cooker?
The high heat.
I've got a little bit of everything laying around. But my go-to is a big green egg. It's not just because you guys are here, but it's just for me, it's the most versatile.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, and I've heard people say it's like, it's really hard to start and blah blah blah. And I have to admit, the first one I had, it sat in my backyard for a while. It's like, crap, I need to get that thing going. And now we had like a Weber gas grill, which is a fine gas grill, and that was my go-to before I got I have a mini max and I have a large. I wish it was an XL, but
yeah,
that would give me a little more space. But anyway, my wife, I said, hey, we are running out of room in the backyard because one, we have a giant koi pond. We don't have a yard. We have 2 koi ponds.
Right.
So I said, you've allotted me this space and I kind of want to get all my grills in here. And she said, well, don't get rid of that gas grill because I want to use that. Yep. And so then I made a note. I said, here's when we use the gas grill. And the next time I looked at that, it had been like 14 months. And I said, honey, we haven't fired that thing up in 14 months. Can I go ahead and get rid of that now? And so we did. But yeah, I use that a lot.
If I did that to my wife, bravo, Dave. If I did that to Debbie, you've been keeping tabs on me. You would take a note to see if I didn't use that thing. I'd be, yeah, boy, I was trying to help clean out the yard. No, it was
Chris,
brilliant,
I think that we're talking about a gas grill here. We're not talking about other things.
Yeah,
I think
that's hilarious.
Yeah, I love it. So, what's your favorite cut?
Oh,
I get asked that one a lot. And I think that, well, Chris, you're kind of in the same boat. Mel, you probably are too. We eat a lot of different cuts. I mean, the average Joe knows a filet, they know a New York, they know a ribeye. And I would say probably 90% of the time when I ask people or that question comes up, they say ribeye. And the ribeye, I've got two of them right here behind me, are fantastic steaks. But I really do like the butcher's cuts. I like kind of the wacky things. I think that, like a hanger steak, outside skirt, so tough to beat.
Outside skirt.
They're not tough, it's difficult to beat.
Outside skirt for me that's a
Terrace Major.
Yeah. Well, picanha.
Yeah, Terrace Major is great.
We actually burned a couple of picanhas here just a couple minutes ago.
We were doing the big green egg. Just
you burned them?
No,
I mean we cooked them.
That's Chris was nice. He's like, "Oh, you overcooked this. This is," and I staring at him.
He's
I'm like,
not going to let me live this one down, Dave. He said, "How is it?" I said, "It's good. It's just a little more cooked than I like." So
I almost fed him the entire picanha right there in one shot. Just
yeah. But we have the new big green egg has a rotisserie,
picanha.
so we did it rotisserie style today. It was pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Lots of love to Snake River Farms today.
Yes.
I've been at Snake River Farms for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so I started, we're a privately held company. I'm not going to give you exact figures, but I will tell you that the first year I was here, we sold X at the website. I'm like, nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Made some money.
Nice.
Now, 10 years later, we'll sell that much in a day.
Yeah.
So what we used to sell in a year, we'll sell in a day.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it's kind of nuts.
And I love seeing that growth because when I was in IT, it used to be people on the platform and you would do our biggest day. Now we used to do in a minute. So I love that thing.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is eventually that sets the new calibration.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So are you still seeing that type of growth? Like after COVID and people have gone back to work, is that normalized? Have you been affected that way like other people have?
When the pandemic hit, our sales, like, the outdoor grills, outdoor everything,
It's great. I mean, for that
went crazy.
aspect.
Yeah, and then you expect, okay, the pandemic's over.
Right.
Anyway, things have subsided.
Right.
Things are going back to normal. People aren't going to do that anymore. But, this is a plug for Snake River Farms. Beef's pretty damn good. Yeah. And, once you really eat that, it's kind of hard to just go and get a USDA choice out of, the grocery store.
Right.
So, we didn't see that same astronomical growth, but, you would thought it was, something would happen, and that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And the thing that's tough is, I think there's a perception that we're a massive beef company. Like in the world of beef, we barely count. I think someone told me we're like, of all the beef sold, we're like, single-digit percentage.
Right.
But we only have so much beef to sell. And it is funny because people are like, oh, well, I just want ribeyes. Well, funny thing, cow has other cuts besides ribeye.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to mix that up.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
Yeah.
You would not know that given people's feeds these days. It's all ribeye. Ribeye this, ribeye that.
I have to say to you, Dave, you guys have ruined how I eat beef just by the quality of the Snake River, man. It's
awesome. Mission accomplished.
Oh, it's even like way up north, right? With our barbecue competitions and stuff like that. When you're judging, KCBS judging, when a brisket hits your table, you can tell. You can tell which ones.
That's cool, man.
Which ones, and that's it's the cutting edge, right? And it's slowly getting that way across the board. It's really wild, but you're absolutely right. You grab a regular old ribeye out of the fridge now, and it's like
it's difficult. It's
different.
like there should be like a rehabilitation program to go back to normal beef, like a halfway house for Waygu. It's like. And that's another thing too for me. And you get this question all the time. That isn't Waygu. It's ridiculous to me. First of all, people wouldn't like eating A5 Wagyu all the time. They think they would. They see it on the things, but they're not going to cook it. They're not going to eat it. They're going to. It's not. American Wagyu is the best of both worlds. You have such an elevated experience when you have that. It really is truly transcendent. And your pork is not bad either. Is there new?
Yeah, the pork is that Korabuta, Berkshire, 100% Berkshire.
Yep.
You know, the thing about everyone should try. If you like beef, you should try a A5. But it's like, you know, you're gonna go to a steakhouse or Japanese steakhouse. They're gonna sell it to you by the ounce, and you know they're gonna sear. It's gonna be, and it's delicious. I mean, it's a delicacy. But man, good luck eating a 32-ounce A5 something.
Oh no, we've tried.
Well, we were just
tried. It's super
I
rich,
forgot
man.
what I was dealing with.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? We've literally tried. It's I do like the Korean hot pot, right? Same deal, and I'm like, let's swing 2 pounds of that and see what happens. And 1 pound in, you're like, holy cow. I need to go for a jog and I need a salad right now. Like this is, yeah.
Hey, I'm going to backtrack. You were talking about you guys made picanhas tonight. So kind of in that 10-year cycle, being at Snake River Farms, every year we introduce new cuts. And, you know, they're not new. They're new to the website. But when the picanha came up, someone said, hey, we've got this sirloin cap. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And they said, do you want it with the fat cap on or the fat cap off? And we're like, I don't know, I guess the fat cap off. And we got put on the site. Didn't sell well. But got a lot of complaints. Why the hell would you guys take the fat cap off that picanha?
Right.
And we called it, I think we called it culotte.
Yep.
Culotte, and it was peeled culotte.
Yeah.
But then you changed the name to picanha, and for SEO purposes, Chris, as you know,
Yeah.
Yep.
It's an important thing.
hardly anyone's searching culotte, everyone's searching picanha. I mean, it's such a darling of you know, social media. But we put that on there, start selling with a fat cap on there. Cannot keep that thing in. I mean, it's just like, it's a crazy good steak or roast also.
Now we have to add picanha to our SEO for this episode.
Oh,
We've got Yellowstone, we got picanha. Now we're really this is gonna be number one with a bullet.
That's it.
Well, the other another big search term is carne asada, going back to outside skirt.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I like it. Dave's dropping bombs,
Yes.
SEO bombs on us.
That's
tonight.
right. See, there you go.
So if it's not barbecue, right, because you are more in the culinary world other than your counterpart Annalise and the barbecue part, what's your favorite style? I mean, if you're going to cook steak, you're not grilling it, what's your favorite way to prepare it stylistically?
You know, I think simple is always best. You know, I think people, if the list of ingredients is so long, you know, there's just opportunity to mix things up. And I have been very fortunate to work with a lot of chefs or to dine out with chefs. It's really a lot of fun to hear them critique things. And, you know, they detect what the missing element is. And there's no magic to it, really. I think the good news is you'll learn by eating. You know, the more you eat, the more you understand. You know, oh, that tasted good. Why that tastes good? And, you know, it's the same with beef or it's with any dish. So I work with Hugh Atchison quite a bit.
Yeah.
In fact, he'll be at Treefort this year. Another plug for Treefort. But one thing that Hugh does is things really simple. And like, okay, horseradish and beef. You know, it's an obvious one. But he took creme fraiche, did a fresh grated horseradish, put a sprinkle of salt, some lemon juice, and whipped it together. And he did these thin slices of New York strip that then he served like with some spring peas. I mean, which sounds weird, right? I mean, it's unusual, but really simple on this plate. That schmear of that stuff, and it was like,
Right.
And then maybe a drizzle of like a super nice extra virgin olive oil. And there are more ingredients in that, but the thing is, it was so simple. It's like, man, that's my favorite style of cooking.
Yeah.
I'm Japanese. My mom was a fantastic cook, and so I think my cooking's influenced a little bit by that, the simplicity and purity of ingredients.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I like about Snake River Farms. It's like you can just make a Snake River Farm steak with a little salt, and you're in business.
Right.
Yep.
I was at a Korean, my children are half Korean, and we love when I'm in the Washington, D.C. area to go out to the great Korean barbecues and stuff. And one of the best experiences I had, we cooked the steak on the tabletop, and then they had this amazing sesame oil, just this high-quality sesame oil, and then really coarse salt, like, Malden salt, just crispy, crunchy. So you had the texture of the salt, the fatty richness of the soy, and then this beef that was tabletop grilled. Really good, simple, delicious.
Nice.
I know.
I want that.
I do
yeah,
too.
that's-
Well, that was really, I really liked, the simplicity of ingredients. And that's why cooking with Snake River Farms products, it's a challenge because really the only thing I should be doing is grilling and salt and slicing. But how many, I'll find myself, I'm doing sauces or different preparations, which is great eye candy and makes for good social media stuff. But sometimes I feel a little teeny guilty putting a marinade on this quality beef.
Well, you got to mix it up a little bit. So during the holiday season, a lot of people, going back to what is my job, people go out, they eat Snake River Farms, they love it, and then they find the website, and many people are accomplished home cooks, many are not. And so that person who says, man, I'd love to make that steak at home, but it's kind of expensive and I don't want to mess it up. So a lot of my content is how do you do the basics?
Yeah.
And we've taken it beyond that, and especially during the holidays, there's a thing called Dining with Dave. I know Dave, me, but they book appointments, and I talk to them about whatever they want to cook, and it's really fun. The people are awesome.
Like physically talk to them?
But it's a service.
Like
What's that?
Physically talk to them?
I
They
have a
call
phone
you?
call.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
That's neat.
We should create like an Uber style app.
Yeah.
Where people will buy the steak and then they could buy like access to this app.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then they could get like if I'm participating in the app and I get on my phone of Snake River Farms, then I could walk them through how to cook the steak and do it with them. And there's a whole network
There you
of us
go.
out there.
There's an app called Kitch that kind of does that. That's
Yeah.
a bunch of really cool guys are doing. Actually, Mike Thielen's a friend of mine, a friend of Snake River Farms, and he's one of the guys on that. So check it out. They have some great chefs on there.
So-
Maybe they need more barbecue guys, folk. You two, get on
Yeah.
there.
So here's one for you, Dave. Since you came from the earlier days of advertising and marketing and doing this social media stuff, how do you feel about where social media is going now? The new stage in social media, the TikToks and the how do you feel about marketing in the new jungle?
Yeah.
I think the thing that's interesting is so much of social media is like, okay, Facebook. Kids aren't on Facebook. People my age or older on it, in general. And then TikTok, when it first came out, it's kind of like everything, like Instagram, that's not going to last. Twitter, that's not going to last. And then with TikTok, the same thing. But people adapt to it. And it's also, I don't know, somebody said that, it affects your brain like a narcotic does. I mean, how many people you sit around they're just going TikTok. I think that, Mel, to answer your question more directly, everything has its place. And I think that I have been around since social media first started, and I don't think anyone really thought they would monetize it in the way they would. I think that, I'm not saying that, Mark Zuckerberg had pure thoughts, but at some point I think it was going to be a completely kind of social, easygoing thing, not a major business with the revenue attached to it. And, that's the thing about all the social media. It's like, it's frightening how all that data is out there. Your Google accounts, you can email your wife, hey, I'm thinking we need to get a washer and dryer. And then pretty soon it's like, hey, look, on my browser, they're having a sale at Best Buy.
Yeah.
So I actually read a really interesting article on this recently. So you know how we all say, and we all feel this way, our phones, our devices are listening to us.
Yes.
And why? Because we won't Google it, we won't search it, we won't do anything on the device, but we'll have a conversation with our friends. Hey, I'm looking at this new fill in the blank, oven, grill, what? And next thing you know, you're on your device and you see an ad for it. So it must be listening, right? But here's how it works. They have so much data on you, they could predict when you're going to want that thing without having the microphone on and hearing you say that to your wife. They know that that's what a thought you'll form in your head on something that you want to feed you that ad in and around you would have said that out loud. So they're not listening to you. They have enough data to be able to already know what you want before you know.
You want me to blow your doors off?
Sure.
The next step to that is that they put it in your head.
Oh, yeah.
They already put it in your head what you're going to want, and now they're advertising to you how to buy it.
Well, we have 10 minutes left.
We have 10 minutes left.
We have 10 minutes
Did you spend the
left.
last half hour drawing that out? Is that
But
those are the notes he was doing?
You should
He's
see.
writing the Big Ten.
So this is going to have to migrate to having a camera facing Jordan as well, because this has got to get on camera at some point. We have a producer, and he's, before he was doing his job, and I was like, "Are we out of time?" He's like, "No, you got an hour left." I'm like, "Wow, that was a short 1 minute." So what's next for you, Dave? Are you happy at the Snake River Farms? Do you have other things you want to do there?
It's a dream job. I mean, I'm getting old, dude. I'll be retiring here in a while. Although I probably will continue to do something with the company.
Oh, stop it, Dave.
Oh, Mel.
One thing I know, Japanese gentlemen who breed koi, they will literally live forever. That's one thing I'm going to say. So your retirement is
the koi or the gentleman?
Wow.
Both.
Oh.
Both. I'm just saying. As soon as he mentioned koi, I knew how centered he was.
Oh, I thought,
because you can't be very sporadic and
well, to
own
be
koi.
clear, it's his wife that's into koi. He's tangentially into koi because of his wife.
So little backstory here, Dave. My mother also has a koi pond in her backyard. So I've spent since I was a little baby scooping them out in the fall and then putting them back in the spring because it's too cold in the winter to keep them out. So we have huge aquariums in the garage. So I've spent most of my life around koi as well. So
has anyone ever eaten a koi?
Yes, a bird.
Well, they're big.
A blue heron. A blue heron came and started plucking her koi out one day, and this is where we found out the wild birds in the city have more rights than humans.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Well, they showed that in Yellowstone too.
That's
second
it.
reference. Second reference to Yellowstone.
Wow.
We're jumping up the podcast charts here.
That's it. Because my stepdad called the city to be like, "How do we get rid of this heron?" And they're like, "You don't. You get rid of you before you get rid of the heron."
We actually ran into that in Louisville. 2 baby owls landed on our porch.
Oh, there you go.
Like little, they were horned. They had the big head, and they were little, and they were really mean to our dogs and to Debbie and to me, and they crapped over everything, and we called animal, and you couldn't do anything with them. You couldn't do anything with them. So they're probably still there. That's why we moved.
What do you think of that, Dave?
Yeah.
We should put him back in the
Chris's owl
just for a minute. Dave, how do you feel about owl issues? That's it.
I like owls.
That's a great band name, by the way. Owl Issues tonight at the Bayou, one night only.
All right.
So, what's next year is your parent company's Agri's 50th anniversary, I think. Is that correct?
55th.
55th.
In business for 55 years.
So, that's a big deal next September 8th, I believe is the date. Yeah.
Are you coming?
I am. Your team, the team there is already all over it, securing that date and spot to make it the best one yet. So yes,
nice,
awesome. Yeah, that's one thing that is pretty cool about Agri Beef and Snake River Farms is kind of going back to that cowboy thing is that it's authentic. So we've been at this for 55 years. I do get a kick out of kind of after 2020. There were a lot of companies that came on board doing beef, and they're like, "We've been selling beef for 2 years now."
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you can tell is that we do everything from start to finish. I mean, we own the genetics on the Wagyu. We have the largest herd of 100% Wagyu cattle in North America. We are involved at every step along the way, and that's highly unusual, in the beef world. But I think the end result is there. I mean, you guys have tried it. We've already discussed that, but it's that's you asked, what am I going to do? Why would I leave this?
Right.
It's an awesome company.
Well, I
Great
meant
product.
there at the company.
It's not the same working for Snake River Farms as it was, like Hot Pockets. Hot Pockets are fine, but no one's getting too excited.
That would be, you all have an incredible line of smoked meats from Southside Market in Texas, and I think you should have a new line of Hot Pockets with Waygu or Kurubuta pork.
Let me talk to Southside. So we have the Southside Hot Pocket.
Southside Hot Pocket. I'm telling you right now.
Yep.
So that's a third search engine term, Hot Pockets.
Yep. Well, there you go.
I beat that one.
Do you really want that traffic?
Exactly. Good call,
Is that your
Dave.
audience?
Good
I
call.
don't know. I'm seeing a Hot Pocket in
Jordan
our future tomorrow.
Yep.
Well, Dave, you are a gentleman and a scholar, a good
100%.
egg for joining us. We're trying to broaden the horizon of the types of guests that we get onto the show so people get exposed to not only our world, but other aspects of our industry. And you are a key component of that. And
thanks, man.
Thanks for being on.
100%. And just a quick closer, if you had one thing to tell our listeners that you wish they would know about Snake River Farms, what would it be?
I'm going to kind of fall back on that, how to prepare things. I think the thing is everyone wants to know the exact formula to do it. And I think the thing I would want people to know is experiment, try it. There's no wrong answer. Everyone's like, oh, is this going to mess the steak up? Marinate the hell out of it. I think that my thing is be your own best judge. Listen to your own palate. And I think you're going to be happy with the results.
Awesome.
I love it.
Thank you very much for being on, Dave. We really appreciate it.
Guys, thanks for the invitation. Mel, it's a pleasure seeing you. I've seen Chris every now and then.
Yeah, there you go.
Dave,
Cheers, brother.
Say hello to everybody. All right, that's it for another amazing episode of After the Cook. We want to thank everybody for listening and watching.
Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Hit all the things, the buzzers and stuff, and get it all done. And we'll be seeing you again in 2 weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Deadly.